And good evening. Welcome to the Highline Activity Center. It's time now for another edition of Coach's Corner here on this Friday night here at the Hack in our little cove here in our little neck of the woods and the corner of the world. And we're going to start things off. We're going to get right into it tonight as we're going to be getting in. Of course, we started winter sports last week, and they really got going this past weekend. And Johnny Tobler joining us here, the head gymnastics coach from the Highlanders. Coach, how you doing?
Hey, doing well.
You're now ready that the season's going and the girls are ready to get after it?
Ready to get after it. We got our first meet under our belt and, know what we need to do going forward. So
Friday night, I believe it was over in Fargo.
Yes, sir, Fargo. And we had an invite there, about 7 teams, I believe. And, yeah, good meet. A couple points above where I thought we might be. And, girls did well, responded well to everything that came their way. And, yeah.
Did you have you said a couple points higher than you thought, so would you say they did go above expectations going into that first meet?
For sure. Our expectations, we had 5 gymnasts competing, so we got 5 competing and you count 4 scores. So I'm thinking, if we do 137, 138, we'll be in good shape. But getting out of there with a 141 and knowing that we, left some points out there and still got some skills to add, we're really excited about where we're at. So, yeah.
When you have that first meet, there's, like you said, skills to add. They're not doing their full routines yet. They're just kind of getting off onto a slow start. Or because you have, 2-3 gymnasts back that are varsity experienced, maybe they add a little bit more. How do you go about that first meet? How do you approach it?
Yeah, so they're doing their full routines, but they are not putting all their skills in their routines quite yet. We're getting back to that, so that'd be a better way to put that. So you have to, as a coach, you got to know when do we want to peak, right? And so we get our routines together, see what we've got now. We don't rush anything in. We don't put something in that is not quite there, and potentially risk getting injuries. You just wait until it's there and keep pushing. So that's kind of what we did, and we're not far behind. We want to get within the next 2-3 weeks, we want to be putting in everything that we're going to do that this year, right? But yeah, that's kind of how you approach it. You just start to, the week before meet week, you start to look at what a routine looks like, and then you fill it in and see where you're at. So, yeah.
2 weeks before, 2 weeks off before your next meet. Another one coming up here. The next one, the first home meet on December 17th. We'll talk about that in a minute. But coming into this year, John, no seniors. I think you've got 3 or 4 juniors, but it's a junior-led squad, if you will. A lot of high expectations with this team coming off a second-place finish last year.
Yeah, we do. Our expectations are the same. My expectation is that we put ourselves in position to win state, and we're not letting off on that expectation. We raise the bar high, and that's what we're setting out to do. Where we're at, our kids this year to last year, in terms of our ability, what we can do, we're beyond where we were last year at this point, even with losing our 2 seniors. And that's good. That's encouraging. The area I would say we're not as far along in terms of comparison to last year is I don't know if we really believe that we can win state. I need to continue to try to sell that to them. I don't think that they're quite there yet, just in terms of their mentality, their competitiveness, their resilience, their drive to get there. I think we've got to improve there. And but no doubt, when I look at the skills that we're putting down, when I look at the ability of where we're at, we're really, if we do those things that we did during the summer and that we are prepping to do here in a few weeks, we control our own destiny, and that's what I want them to get bought into. But we need a little bit of grit, we need a little bit of resilience, we need to really get bought into that, and as a team, we're a team. They need to buy into that. They need to work together. They need to, so that's a long drawn out answer, but
you got to the point. And it brought a question to my mind. Is you hear this term in sports, a team has a swagger. Is that something that thinking that's what these young ladies need? They They just need that swagger that, hey, yeah, we could do this.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. We need that, and we need to get it soon. Last year, it was, I think, too little too late, It was not until probably meet before EDC where they're really like, whoa, we can do this, And I'm like, yeah, that's what I was trying to get you to believe the whole entire season, right? And they got there a little late. So this year, I got to get them bought in sooner so that, we can, put that swagger on and wear that to every meet, and just show up and really take care of business and, go do it and get out and have that swagger, have that confidence. That's what we got to do. And it's going to start with our leaders, primarily Abby, Karina, Grace, and Zoe as our 3 juniors, or 4 juniors. It's got to start there. And it's got to spread throughout the entire team and the entire program, really, because I want the little girls looking up to that too. I want the high school girls to take that responsibility upon themselves and realize that everybody in the gym is looking at you and looking up to you. And so, yeah, that's a great way to put it, and great way to, a good standard to hit there for a team. You need to get that swagger of a championship team, right?
Yep. That that as soon as you get on the mat and you get into the gym, oh, we've got this.
Yeah.
That kind of an attitude.
That's exactly right. Yep.
And you talk about, look at the foundation that has been set over the last few years. And last year, I think, best since, I think, 92 or early 90s for a Highliner gymnastics team, finishing second to Dickinson. And so that success breeds success, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. And so you talk about those young girls, those 7th, those 8th graders. Even you can go down to the 5th and 6th graders that are maybe getting started.
Yeah.
They see that, and that's how you build a program, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. That's what we're trying to do, and I really worked hard at promoting gymnastics throughout the summer, trying to get kids that had left to come back. We want to get kids that are 8th, 9th, 10th grade in the gym, because we've got a big gap. We've got a bunch of juniors and a handful of freshmen, and then there's nothing all the way until 7th grade. So I'm trying to get the kids, the girls that come back. A lot of kids are afraid that they don't have the skills they used to have. We just want a big team, and we want to, get that. We want that atmosphere to be an exciting atmosphere, And sometimes you can have an exciting atmosphere with a small team, but a lot of times you get more kids in there, and that's more kids pushing towards new skills, more kids getting new skills, and that atmosphere gets very exciting, and it helps everybody. So. That we're building down there 5th, 6th, 7th grade and looking to push those kids in right away, because we're gonna have some big gap to fill. But I'm also trying to get kids that have been in gymnastics and left to come back. So if you're a former gymnast and you want to come back, have thought about it, maybe doubting it, don't worry about it. Come back. We'll take you where you're at, and
work with you, mold you.
Exactly. We'll take you where you're at. We've got a handful of kids that have come back that that left gymnastics, set them back, and even kids that are new to it, that are trying it out and getting skills, having a blast. So, yeah.
Well, 2 weeks, as I mentioned, from the last meet. So, the 17th of December, Friday night, first home meet, and you got a couple of teams coming in.
Yeah. We've got. Did I say it's Grand Forks?
Grand Forks, the Night Riders.
Grand Forks and Jamestown, yeah. So
Jamestown, it'd be nice to have them coming in here. But that'll be on Friday the 17th, and over at the Youth Activity Center at the Gymnastics Pavilion, if you will, over here in Valley City. Now, when you have that first home meet, the girls got to be excited about it. And hey, your first home meet, let's go out there and show the home fans what we can do.
Yeah, I'm looking for it to be high energy, looking for some new skills, some brand new skills to come in. And it's a great opportunity to do that. We're at home. You feel more comfortable at home. And there's some skills that a lot of our girls are on the verge of getting, a little bit scared, a little nervous, a little hesitant. Well, this is the opportunity for us to do that because we're at home and they're used equipment. And so great opportunity for them to, make that next step to get themselves in position to be where they need to be come state. They've all got their assignments. They've got their goals. Here's a big step forward, and look for some excitement. Look for our girls to get rowdy when they see some of those new skills put into routines. So,
well, we'll talk again on the 15th, the Wednesday before that meet. We'll have you on again and really push that first home meet on the 17th then.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, John, I appreciate you joining us here tonight, and look forward to talking down the road.
Sounds good.
Yeah, okay, thanks, Coach.
Yeah, you bet.
That is Coach Johnny Tobler joining us, gymnastics coach from the Valley City Highlanders, back with more Coach's Corner coming up from the Hack here on the Highland Activity Network. Back here on Coach's Corner, here on the Highlander Activity Network, and now we're going to move to the wrestling team, Valley City Highlander wrestling team. Coach Aaron Larson joining us. Coach, welcome back.
Good to be here.
Well, we got Jamestown. We had the tournament, the Knights of Columbus tournament in Jamestown here on Saturday, and then Tuesday night, last night, Tri down in Lisbon. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Jamestown, a second-place finish as a team, ironically behind Davies, who you had beaten in a duel, but Davies took the team title. Overall, how did you feel the guys wrestled on Saturday?
We wrestled okay. We lost to Davies by 3.5 points. We left a couple wrestlers at home for various reasons, so that was kind of the difference in the tournament. We put 7 in the finals and had 6 champs, so we were happy with that.
Is that about one of your better showings at this tournament, or about an average?
Yeah, that's average.
Yeah.
We go into that tournament every year trying to win it, so we're usually in contention, and this year we just came up a little bit short.
And I think Colton Griebel won a tournament championship. Did he pin his way through?
He pinned his way through. Yep.
That's pretty good that you can get in and pin your way in 3-4 matches and win a tournament championship.
Yeah, right. Colton looked good and he dominated. He actually pinned the number 3 wrestler in the state in the finals. So Colton's started out the season nicely.
Is that going to help his confidence a little bit? I'm sure he probably already had some, but when you have something like that, does that just give it a little bit more of a boost?
He's a pretty confident kid, when he gets to train with his brother every day in practice. So the toughest kid that he's going to wrestle all year, he wrestles every day in our wrestling room. So Colton's pretty confident.
Is there any kind of a sibling rivalry with those two?
There is. They're both sweethearts off the mat, but it gets pretty feisty in there once in a while.
You have to break them and say, hey, fellas, let's go to neutral corners.
Right.
For the other 5 champs, overall, did you guys that you kind of expected to take their weight class?
Yeah, Ethan Miller dominated. He won by technical. He pinned everybody in the finals. He won by technical fall. So he dominated. Tucker Johnson got his first tournament championship of his career. He had a very nice tournament. And Broden Muskie actually pinned everybody on his way to his tournament championship. And so did Jonah Schulteis, pinned everybody. So, our hammers were pretty dominant.
And I think Coy winning is what? Did he go at 126? Did he wrestle 126?
He wrestled 120, and he wrestled the number 4 guy in the finals, and was pushing it to a tech fall. So Coy dominated.
It just there's no end with his team. I mean, yeah, we talk about Coy, state champion, but you look at all your wrestlers. They're types of wrestlers that could dominate a team, couldn't they? I mean, they've got guys that have the skills to do that.
We have 5 wrestlers that could be in the state finals. So those 5, they pretty much dominate always. And we just got to get the rest of the team up to their level.
We can talk about it as all we want in December. As well as let's see what happens into February when push comes to shove. We get in there now. Here last night, a triangular with Wahpeton and Lisbon, the defending Class B state champ. I want to say 2-time defending state champion in Class B with the Lisbon Broncos. A couple of wins, 48-22 over Wahpeton, and then 47-30 over Lisbon with a win. So how did things go overall last night? You got a couple of wins, but overall?
We were kind of flat, actually, against Wahpeton Breckenridge. And, we didn't wrestle that great in the first duel. We still came away with the win, found a way to get the win. And kids regrouped nicely for the Lisbon duel. And that's probably our best performance of the year is our kids got fired up to wrestle, a Class B perennial powerhouse, and we wrestled really well against Lisbon and came away with the win.
Is that one of those barometers? Yes, they're Class B, but still, just because of the talent on that wrestling team, a good barometer for your team?
Yeah, it's a fun duel because it's not in our conference, so it doesn't mean a lot. It's other than just for pride. And, it's a good measuring stick to see where we're at, a good measuring stick to see where they're at. And, we got a lot of good connections with Lisbon coaches and wrestlers, and it's always a friendly rivalry, and it's a lot of fun.
Well, now, when we talked last week, of course, because of COVID, we didn't have any tournaments last year. We've already had the one. Now coming up Saturday, I think it's the Sertoma in Grand Forks.
Yeah, we head to a 16-team dual tournament at Grand Forks Central, and it starts Friday, and it's a 2-day event, and should be a good tournament.
I think Foston is who you open up with, a team out of Minnesota in the northwest part of the state. Do you know anything about the Greyhounds?
I do not. I didn't even know they were the Greyhounds. So, no. Perennial Powers, Perham, Thief River Falls are both going to be there, and we're hoping we can get a match with one of those schools, and it should be a lot of fun.
There's a handful of EDC teams there as well, and then teams that come across the border from Minnesota. Minnesota's always had some great wrestling, so you're going to see some really good wrestling this weekend.
We should. We're hoping to.
And everybody's healthy. That's the best thing early on. You always say that. You want to be healthy early on, and so far, so good.
Yeah, we're pretty healthy so far. A few nicks and bruises, but that's wrestling, so...
And then after that, I believe you have Grand Forks Central up there for a duel next week.
We go to Grand Forks Central the following Thursday, and then the following weekend is our Highliner tournament right here in Valley City. So still a busy schedule up till Christmas.
And I'm trying to think, Sincere Haskins, I think, is probably one of the top wrestlers for the Knights. And is he in one of those lower weight classes? I can't remember now if he's in the middle, right off the top.
Sincere's either 160 or 170,
okay,
actually.
Yeah.
And we actually know Sincere well because when we took a team to Florida, Disney Duels, we needed a 160-pounder and we needed a 170-pounder, and Sincere filled in and wrestled for us, so we know him well, and he's a great wrestler.
All right, well, that'll be coming up next week, and hopefully when we talk next Wednesday, we'll talk about another dual victory, and then we'll talk more about the Sertoma. Now, that's a dual tournament at Sertoma that you're having on Saturday.
Dual tournament, so, yeah, a little different format. It's a 16-team bracketed tournament, all duels, so it's always a lot of fun.
I think 4:30 against Boston's when you start on Friday. All right. Well, Coach, I appreciate you stopping by as usual again, and look forward to talking to you again here next week.
Sounds great. Thanks, sir.
You bet. Appreciate it. That is Aaron Larson, head wrestling coach on the Valley City Highliners. We're going to talk basketball when we come back on the Highliner Activity Network. Paul McDonald back with you here, and our cameraman and technical director tonight, Jaden Johnson, as we are now going to swing over and talk about basketball here on tonight's version of the Coach's Corner. And we'll start off head coach from the girls, Jimmy Howard, joining us. Coach, how you doing?
Good.
Good. Game 1, Game 2 already. You already got 2 games under your belt. You faced Jamestown right away. Now, the rumors were that Jamestown had graduated a lot. I don't think they did. They had about 3 or 4 starters back. That was a pretty good basketball team you saw on Friday night.
Yeah, they had a lot of experience with that. Some seniors and juniors, and making it to the state tournament last year as a 4 seed out of the West. And we found out just how athletic number 14 is for them, and and we got a lot of young kids that are stepping into roles that they haven't, and you take out the first 6 minutes where, with big learning curve, and you take those out and you start looking at everything, and I was pleased with the way we played after those 6 minutes, and it's just about building.
Yeah, and well, if you take out the first 6 and the last 6, it was 52-50. I mean, you guys played. I mean, after the jitters got out, you guys played very well in the latter part of that first half.
Yeah, and turnovers were a big thing, and we knew they would be, especially with 2 young guards, and and then we just had some jitters. I think some kids were having trouble catching a little bit, and learning that you can't make some passes that maybe you used to be able to make. And I thought that after about those 6 minutes, like we said at the beginning, our guards adjusted, and then we started getting down to playing basketball the way that we know we can, and we're just working towards putting a complete game together at this point.
And in these early games, you're going to be playing a lot of players. A lot of kids are going to get some PT. Of course, I think both Dylan and Peyton got in foul trouble early on, so you really had to rely on that bench in the early part of the game.
Yeah, and I thought Carly Govan played extremely well offensively and defensively, but she's always been a good defender for us, but her offense has always been a question as to how she's going to go, and she started attacking the basket, getting downhill, and Addie Quelvang, who hadn't played in a year, I thought she gave us some really good minutes in the middle in that game, and Greta Govan hasn't played much at all varsity, and she got in there for some good minutes, and so all that experience, and like you said, early in the season we're going to play a lot of kids, and I think maybe our rotation is going to be probably those 9. Sam Hatcher is on her way back, and so we'll be getting her in the mix, and that's another kid with some experience that will help.
Well, then on last night, first EC game as Devils Lake came in here, and everybody's thinking, well, Dolan, you got the big 6-footer in the middle. She didn't do a whole lot outside of rebounding in that game.
Correct, and I think she affected the lane defensively, just with her length and getting the ball in the post. When we looked at some film and we talked about it, and she's really long, so she's able to get around the side and tap things away. And so even though our post may look open, we need to move the ball and then try to get them on the move a little bit, because she struggled a little bit more on the move, it seemed like. But offensively, no, their first game, I think she'll settle into a groove a little bit, but she was, offensively not the player to have to worry about last night, and she did affect it defensively, but he did have, he's got 4 or 5 seniors, I think, on that roster, and so they've got some kids coming back that understand the success and the work it takes to be at that success.
Yeah, and they're 2 years removed from while they would have played in the state championship game against Fargo Shanley, but COVID took care of that. So, and they played on that team. Dolan was one as the sophomore, so they've got that experience.
Correct, and we have some experience. We do have experience on the team, but it does help to have the experience at those important positions like the guards. And I think Tessa and Drew have done a great job these first 2 games. They improved. We cut our turnovers down extremely. It may not have felt like it, but the numbers-wise were way down from the first game. And so I'm pleased with their progress. And it's going to take a little bit of time, but, as long as they continue to improve, we'll be all right.
And you caused a lot of turnovers. I mean, your defense really was causing them some problems.
Yeah, we did win the turnover battle. Preliminary numbers out were they had 32 turnovers to our 22. The only downside was when they turned us over a little bit in the first half. They made one run in the first half to get themselves up, I think 10 or 12.
Yeah.
And the second half was a 2-point game, and that was the difference. But when we turned them over, we didn't just go get baskets out of it, or we couldn't convert on those baskets. So that kind of the turnovers, even though we caused them, limited their offensive shots and whatnot, but it didn't get us. It didn't reward us with nearly as many points as we would like it to.
Yeah, you got stops, but then you got to get something at the other end.
Correct.
You hear that all the time. Well, they got the stop, and now you got to do something at the other end, and that didn't pan out. But it's only game 2, but it was the first EDC game. Next up, Fargo North here,
Yes.
back here at the Hack here on Friday night. What do you expect out of the Spartans?
Experience back.
Yeah.
They got depth. They got a lot of kids. And they're athletic. Just watching them on tape here, they're going to try to get out. They're going to be aggressive. And I think every team is, if you look at how we've handled pressure these first 2 games. And that's just going to come with the territory. And the more we get pressured, the better we're going to become with it. And, we're going to start hurting teams as they want to pressure us that tight. But once again, it's going to take a little bit of time. And, we're really working on just coming together, trying to be one group with the same focus and the same direction. And we just talked about, what will be a successful season if we're not going to measure it on wins and losses. How do we decide what's successful? And, the girls really want to become one, everyone for each other. And I think if they can achieve that, the wins and losses will start taking care of themselves. So I think we're in a good place right now as a team, and we're going to go through some growing pains.
Would you say improvement from game 1 to game 2?
For sure.
Yeah.
Like I said, turnovers down. I think our rebounding margin was much better.
Yeah.
Second half, we only had 8 turnovers. We were trying to keep them under our own turnovers under 10. And that's going to be a focus all year is can we keep each half under 10? If you can have under 20 turnovers in a game, you're doing pretty well when you consider jump balls being thrown out of bounds, things like that. So if we can do that, we can keep ourselves in games. And last night, some open shots didn't fall. We'll continue to work on that. And, if we can knock down some of those shots, the game last night might have been a little bit different.
Well, Carly Govan, I think, was 3 for 3. She hit all 3 of her shots. Faith Peterson comes off the bench, I think, gives you 7 points. Those are those bench players that you are going to need if you're going to be successful.
Oh, for sure. And those are roles that they're stepping into that, last year they might not have been required to produce offensively like that. So it's good to see that. Hopefully we can continue to sustain that production off the bench. And it's good because if they're pushing for more playing time, they're going to be pushing the kids ahead of them to continue to play at a high level, and that's just going to help us.
That in the interior competition is always good.
Yep, as long as it's healthy and the kids understand that it's for the betterment of the team. And, when you're working with teenage kids, boys or girls, it doesn't really matter at that point. Just an understanding that they're just trying to push me to make me better, and if I don't work my butt off, then maybe they're going to take my spot, and that doesn't hurt a team. It only helps you.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens here with the Spartans coming up Friday night, and that'll be right back here at the Hack. Of course, you'll be able to watch the game here on the Highlight Activity Network. But, Jimmy, thanks again, and we will look forward to talking to you again next week.
All right. Thank you very much.
You bet. No, wait a minute. You haven't said it.
Oh, yeah. Go Highlanders.
There you go. Thank you, sir. Jimmy Howard, the head girls basketball coach from the Highlanders, will be back with Alex Quist, the head boys coach, coming up with more of the Coach's Corner on the Highlight Activity Network. Back here on Coach's Corner on the Highline Activity Network tonight here from the Hack, Paul McDonald, along with our cameraman and technical director, Jaden Johnson's here tonight. And now we're going to go to boys basketball and a blurry-eyed Alex Quist. Even though it's not morning, but it was probably a late night getting back from Devil's Lake last night, wasn't it?
Yeah, we got back around, or just before midnight. So.
Oh, that's not too bad. You still got your 3 hours of sleep.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, before we get to last night's Devil's Lake game, again, you had Jamestown on Friday night. And again, it was you had a good start, and then towards the end of this first half, Jamestown kind of pulled away. But your thoughts against the Jays on Friday night?
Well, I think our inexperience showed a little bit with some guys, but that's normal. That's part of the maturation process, right? You're going to see some growing pains, but we weren't very disciplined with what we were doing on offense. Our spacing was really poor, so we didn't have. I mean, we barely got into the paint against Jamestown. It seemed like so. And being such a good shooting team, we need to be able to get inside the paint to get open threes for some of our shooters, and then I told him coming into the game that boxing out was going to be a huge thing, and we actually didn't do that poor of a job, even though we gave up over 20 offensive rebounds. But pursuit of the basketball, once it comes out rim, that's something that we struggled with against Jamestown and last night against Devils Lake.
But in Jamestown, even though a lot of the guys from the state championship team are long gone and playing college ball now, still these are kids that saw that, been part of that program, so you knew that you still have a quality ball club coming in here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They definitely have a solid program. The kids know what to expect when they're coming up through Jamestown, and they're a good defensive team. So we struggled to score on offense, and a lot of that had to do with us. But Jamestown, they sat down and they guarded, right, and they didn't let us get anything easy.
Ben Van Burkham, the big fella on the inside, and that's going to be something in the EDC. I know they're WDA, but in the EDC, all the teams, it seems like, in this conference have a real good post players. That's something you figure you're going to probably deal with throughout this season, aren't you, once you get into the conference?
Oh, yeah. So, a couple of things that we'll have to get a lot better at is one, just making sure that we're helping each other out on our box outs and rebounding, right, because a high number of Van Berken's points came off of offensive rebounds. And then it seemed like the other half of his points came off of dump downs, where whoever was guarding him maybe helped up the floor or helped a little bit too early, or the next help defender wasn't there to help out our big man when he helped. And so he got, just a lot of stuff around the rim. And so that's stuff that we're working through here to make sure that we clean up because, like you said, there's going to be plenty of big guys in the EDC, and we can't give up 20-plus points every night when we face someone who's 6'6" or taller.
Yeah, I know you got someone on Friday night you're going to be facing if he's in the starting lineup, but we'll talk about Mr. Zeller here in just a minute. Last night, Devils Lake, a loss, yes, but you had to be proud of the way your team came back, down 10 and then down 8, came back and tied it, then down 8 late in the game, and the guys come in, and I think the Carson Eggert, I think Reese Grewald, that was kind of a defense-offensive substitution you're making, and it's proved pretty good because Carson comes in and hits the 3 to send it to overtime. Just your thoughts on the way you guys battled on the road against Devils Lake and being able to at least get that game to overtime.
Yeah, absolutely. So, that's their first home game of the year, and that's sort of them kicking off a new era with a new head coach. So I think there was a lot of excitement in the building. And so for us to be down 10 in the second half and not waver in what we were trying to do and stay consistent, keep fighting. I thought our body language was really good when we were facing a lot of adversity. And that's something that we really struggled with a couple years ago. It seemed like, once you get down by 10, it seemed like, we just, it was a snowball thing, right? Once it gets to 10, it's going to keep going, it's going to keep growing. And so my first year here, we didn't really have, we maybe had 1 or 2 games that were single-digit games, right? Mm-hmm. They were all double digits. And so, being able to fight back after facing that adversity, and, we had 3 guys fell out of the game. right? So that's an adversity in itself, not only being on the road, right, in a pretty hostile environment, longest trip of the year, 2 hours up there. So that was the first thing I mentioned at practice today when we brought him in was that, just being down by 10 late in the game, the way that we battled, that's important for us going forward because every game you're going to face some adversity. It's just a matter of what degree and how long are you going to, are you going to sulk when things are going wrong, or are you going to think next play, we need to get the next one.
And they always talk about when you're down, regardless of how far, but when you're down 10, it takes a lot of energy to come back. And, like you said, you found out 3 guys, and I think the gas tank was starting to get really close to E when you were getting in the middle part into overtime. Had a lead at one point in overtime as Zach Sikora was hitting his free throws and got up by 1, but just, again, ran out of gas.
Yeah. So you hit the nail on the head there. You just expend so much energy when you're down trying to come back towards the end of a game. And then on top of that, some of our guys played a lot of minutes, and heading into overtime with kids fouled out. I can't remember if we had 2 fouled out going into overtime or.
Well, I know Andrew Burnson had just fouled out right before overtime, and I think the other 2 were in overtime.
Yep, and that's also another thing we mentioned at the beginning of practice today was that, when we were trying to foul, Andrew's one of our captains, and some kids when they have 4 fouls, they don't want anything to do with the foul because they want to stay in the game. Well, I'm calling out foul from the end of the bench, and you see Andrew sprinting from the other side of the court to go foul the person with the ball, right? That shows a lot of character, and I think that shows what our team is about, right? That's a sacrificial move where, we would have loved to have him in overtime, but he knew that, see, if he doesn't do that, I mentioned this too, right? We had 1.7 seconds left at the end of regulation when we hit the game-tying shot.
Yep.
Right? Well, if Andrew doesn't sprint over and foul there, we don't have those 1.7 seconds, and it never goes to overtime. So that was I was very impressed with Andrew when he did that, just because you see it just about any level of basketball. Oh, I got 4 fouls. I can't foul.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of the game, when you have to foul, it doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah, someone's got to fall on the sword, as they say, and that just shows character, and that just shows some maturation level from some of your players. 4 players in double figures last night. I think Adam Bitts led the way with 21, hitting his free throws. I think was 10 of 11 at the free throw line. So you got a lot of guys in the scoring column, and they did, like I said, 4 players in double figures. Cal Burchell banging around, I think, picked up 9 boards for you last night. So it's a loss, but you got to take a lot of goods out of this game heading into Friday night.
Oh yeah, we played a lot better than we did against Jamestown. I think they're 2 different caliber teams a little bit, but the things that we can control, we did a lot better at. I thought we were much better in our press, just creating a little bit more havoc and taking a little bit more time off of the clock when we were up in our press. We forced 2 10-second calls last night, and we got some runouts, right? So we definitely got better, and I think that, I think we scored 76 last night.
Yep.
As opposed to 34.
34 the night before. Yeah.
That's obviously a big difference. So. Confidence-wise on offense, that's really good for us to, see the ball go through the net. And even Carson, he didn't score in our first game, and now he scores 16.
Yeah.
Last night. So, just seeing the ball go through the hole, that does wonders for kids' confidence. So.
And now just take that next step. That's always the thing. Hey, that was great. Yeah, it was a loss, but it was a great game. Now we got to take that next step and make that a W.
Yeah.
That's the next step.
Yep, absolutely. And so that's where we're really stressing every little detail, right? Because there could have been one instance in the first half where somebody doesn't make a hit on a box out, they get an offensive rebound and score. Well, that's why we lost, right? It was a 1-possession game, right? So making sure that, we understand that we're going to make mistakes, we're not going to be perfect, but still striving to limit every little mistake and just do everything the right way. Right? just do your job and things will take care of itself. We're not always going to be able to control whether shots go in or not. So just controlling those controllables and getting better throughout the year.
And the JV won 52-45. So Coach Scully gets a win in his first game. Was he coaching there last night?
Yeah,
So he gets a win in his first game as a coach. But just there, that's another positive. Your JV, you go on the road and get a big win. And that's just going to build confidence for them. And those guys are going to be on the bench come varsity games. So they got to have a good feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was good to see some of those kids. I mean, they're battling. We don't have a ton of numbers this year, so we were at 15 last night for JV and varsity. So a lot of kids are playing 3 halves. So we've got, I think we had 4 kids play 1 half of JV and 2 halves of varsity, and then there were 3 or 4 kids who played 2 halves of JV, and we used their half during the varsity game. So.
Sure. Well, now Friday night, you head up to the Spartan Dome to take on Fargo North, and as I mentioned, Mr. Zeller, he's I think here last year as a freshman, he came off the bench and had a good game, and I think he had a decent game when we went up to Fargo North. But he's just one guy. But still, this is going to be a good North team you're going to face here tomorrow night or on Friday night.
Oh yeah. That's a team that went to state last year, and they're returning a lot of their guys, most of them. So yeah, they've got a lot of sophomores that are playing that played some as freshmen last year. I mean, that's from a 9th grader to 10th grader. There's a big jump that kids usually make, and so just the fact that they were playing last year as 9th graders and they were key contributors to their team. They'll be a really tough matchup.
What's going to be a key now for you guys to build off last night's game, carrying it into Friday night? What's going to be a key for you guys here?
Rebounding. I mean, we gave up 20 offensive rebounds. That's about our average right now in 2 games. So, and I think last year our 2 games against Fargo North, they had about 20 offensive rebounds against us. And we were a little bit bigger last year, a little bit stronger. So, yeah, getting on the boards is going to be really important for us. Trying to keep it out of the paint, trying to keep people in front of us. I don't think we didn't do a very good job of guarding the basketball last night. Had a lot of people get by us, man-to-man defense. And so when we do that, that's honestly when we give up the most offensive rebounds, is when we get somebody to drive by us. Well, that forces help. Well, then it's hard for us to recover and get that next person to go box out. And so the weak side's always open on offensive rebounds. So, yeah, keeping people in front of us and getting after the glass will be really important for us to Friday. And
taking care of the basketball. That's always right up there at the top, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. We want to make sure that we get a shot up at the rim every possession. Those are extra possessions that we need.
All right. Well, Alex, I appreciate it again. And yes, a loss last night. We were all huddled around the radio, kind of listening to it online last night in between during the girls' game last night. So it was fun to listen to, just the way you guys battle back. Yes, a loss, but that was just a fun game, a fun high school basketball game for your kids to experience. Number one.
Yeah, and even after Carson hit that 3-pointer to tie the game at the buzzer at the end of regulation, just seeing all the kids jump up and down going crazy, it was pretty fun to watch. And then trying to calm them down, get them over to the bench, I start talking, and as I'm talking, I just crack a smile, and I just look up at Carson. I'm just like, nice shot, Carson. It's just hard not to enjoy those moments, I tell the kids a lot that, the memories that they're going to make from basketball, it's almost never whether you won or lost a game. You can do things that, you're going to remember for the rest of your life. Now, obviously, a shot at the buzzer like that, those kids are all going to remember that. But some of them aren't even going to remember the shot as much as they're going to remember just freaking out after it goes in, know?
Yep.
So trying to get after them a little bit about, sometimes just have fun and be a little bit stupid, go chest bump somebody, do something. because that provides a lot of energy for us, and that helps us play with more intensity and urgency.
All right, well, let's keep that urgency going on Friday night up at the Spartan Dome as you take on the Spartans of Fargo North. Coach, thanks for joining us again. We'll talk to you again next week.
Yeah, appreciate it, Paul.
Thanks much. That is Coach Alex Quist, and we'll come back and wrap things up here on tonight's Coach's Corner on the Highline Activity Network. Back here on Coach's Corner as we wrap things up, our final segment, as we are going to do every week. We'll let you know what's coming up here on the Highline Activity Network. And tomorrow, we're going to have junior high girls basketball. They'll be over in the North Gym. They'll be taking on Griggs County Central. Also, we'll have a C Squad game. They'll be taking on Griggs County Central. That'll be here at the Hack. That's at 6:30 tomorrow night. And the first grade program. The first grade program will be at Jefferson. That's at 7 o'clock tomorrow night as well. So that's what we've got coming up here on the Highline Activity Network. Of course, Friday night we'll have girls basketball beginning at 7:15. Of course, no JVs. We'll be getting right into the varsity at 7:15. And you can hear that game and see that game right here on the Highline Activity Network. And then also, don't forget, coming up on Saturday, Park and Rec will have another big tournament here at the Hack. And we'll have day-long coverage again on video coverage of that Parks and Recs tournament coming up here on Saturday. And that all starts at 9 o'clock, and that'll be going all day long. I think the last game is scheduled for 7 tomorrow night. So it'll be a full day of basketball here at the Hack in that Parks and Rec tournament. But again, it all starts tomorrow night, and we will have girls basketball against Griggs County Central. And that's, again, 6:30 for that C-Squad game here at the Hack. And we'll have coverage here on the Highline Activity Network. Well, again, I want to thank our guests tonight, John Tobler, Aaron Larson, Jimmy Howard, and Alex Quist, our winter sports coaches. And we will have another show here next week. Again, just a reminder, on the 22nd and 29th during the Christmas break, we will not have Coach's Corner. We'll take the holidays off and then come back in 2021. But next week, another full slate of guests and another show for the Highline Activity Network coming up next week. And that will be on the, of course, my math is right. That'll be the 8th of, or the 15th of December, and that will be our last show before the holiday break, which is the 22nd and 29th. Again, for my cameraman and our technical director tonight, Jaden Johnson, Paul McDonald saying thanks for joining us, and thanks for joining us here on Coach's Corner here on the Highliner Activity Network.